I was watching an episode of Passport OG's, page. It was called "Why Did I Pay $200 for Her Steak?" Yeah, yeah. It was called "Why Did I Pay $200 for Her Steak?" and whatnot. And part of it, he incorporates clips from other content creators. In this particular episode, he incorporated a clip from Jason Black's The Business, where he was talking to a man, and they were going back and they were talking about uh, going abroad, looking for a life partner or a mate, a wife, basically passport bros. I hate saying that because I just call it men taking vacation or men exploring their options and whatnot. That's what I call it. I don't use I don't use the term anymore. Okay, men taking vacation, men exploring their options, men expanding their horizons and shit. Okay, and I don't. We have to start somewhere, right? We have to start somewhere. We have to have something to build on. Okay, but the reason I'm making this commentary, all right, to make a raw commentary, is because at one point Jason Black was disparaging this man for his looks. I have not gone and looked at the clip itself and whatnot because I watch Jason Black very sparingly. I used to watch him a lot then and just taper it off and whatnot. But apparently in this clip, Jason Black is able to see the man. He's able to see his appearance. He makes disparaging comments about the man's appearance. Okay, about the man's appearance. Right? Talks to him in the, talks down on him. All right. I know how some people feel about that. Uh, a while back, a couple months ago, I wrote a comment on Medium Man's page, and he responded with a laughing emoji and shit about the same thing. Okay, about the same fucking thing and shit. Now we need to get it together in this supposed community and shit. Now what I'm talking about is there needs to be a code of conduct amongst men and shit. We hear this bullshit all the time. We grew up in this bullshit. Okay, where we're infantilized, we're shit talked, and then it's like being in jail. It's like being in prison and shit. That's why I encourage men to live for themselves and shit. Find what makes them happy and try to self-actualize, self-realize and shit. I have no degrees in any of this shit, therapy or anything. It's just based on life experience. I'm a regular guy, rank and file, like you. Okay, I'm a little bit older. Okay, I'm an elder statesman of this community chronologically for some. All right, but I feel like I have something to offer. And if I was doing lives or anything, if I would actually made it to 1,000 subscribers, I don't think I would talk to them like that shit. I'm gonna be brutally honest in my assessment, but I don't think I'm gonna take that kind of a tone and shit. But we habitually hear Jason Black and a few others, perpetuating the negative stereotype that black men are giant infants and shit. It's really somewhere in the middle. Okay, considering the social engineering and the roadblocks put up to us economically and socially and interpersonally and shit. It's a minefield out there. It's a fucking war and shit. Some of us opt out and like just leave the bitch. Okay, like me, I would say like I never thought to do that. I would never thought to leave this supposed black community of America, 3Ks, and said I never thought to do that. And when I was just systemically regurgitated out of it and shit and walked along the edges of it and, seeing what's going on out there and shit. I've had my experiences, okay? But I take umbrage at the disparaging tone that he was talking to that man. I don't care what the man looked like. I don't care if he was a hair bear, he was drooling at the mouth or anything. I don't think that, I think it was a violation of that man's trust to come onto his show and cam up and show and show his face to Jason. And Jason does nothing. He doesn't have any reciprocity. He doesn't show his face to him. They could have had a private chat face to face off the rip. Jason wouldn't trust that man the way that man trusted him. They couldn't have a private conversation looking at each other's face, and just him just download the bullshit and play it. You couldn't have that. Jason ain't gonna give nobody his fucking face. So I take umbrage at him using a format that was attributed to the late Kevin Samuels and shit to, further his channel and shit, get his clicks and likes up and shit. Let's not fuck around and shit. The black community is like, pretty much, the bottom of the barrel for people that are looking at for easy come up and shit. They just pander to whatever crowd they want. Shit, I believe Jason Black. Okay, I listen to a lot of his shit, but he get on my motherfucking nerves when he talk to men like that. Okay, we hear that shit every fucking day. Okay, when is the time for a change? When is it time for a fucking change in the way we communicate with each other, the dialogue that we have with each other? We need to break the chains and learn to look at each other and not want to fuck each other up or fuck each other over and shit, okay? I'm not lamenting anything and shit, but I've had this experience for most of my adult life. Actually, most of my, my entire life since childhood. I've had this experience of, this herd mentality that we're one way when my existence, my life proves that it is not so. Alright? I was forced in a box that I did not belong in. And the people that did it were blind. Okay? They're blind. I'm bigger than any box you could put me in and shit. That's my opinion about myself and my life. Despite whatever accomplishments or lack thereof that I have and shit. I feel that Jason Black is a hypocrite for going at this man regarding his appearance and shit, disparaging him and disparaging his aspirations to be a quote unquote passport bro. Maybe he goes abroad, goes to a community, finds a way to fit in, and naturally changes his appearance. Or maybe they accept him for who he is and how he looks. Maybe they accept him for who he is and how he looks. He likes to talk all this, pro-black shit. For lack of I'm using that as a flat term, not actually describing the man or his rhetoric. He likes to talk all that shit, but he doesn't take into consideration that white people went to all these countries and made themselves the standard and shit. They didn't really change anything about themselves. Everyone had to change to them and shit for reasons. Okay, I'll leave it at that. All right? And I'm not saying that we can do that. Okay, I'm saying that black men are unique in that they have an ability to conform to adverse conditions and whatnot. So why not just encourage him to explore his options and maybe, let Darwinism aside that he would adapt to those conditions or be forced out of it organically. Okay? And I feel like what he was telling black men was, what they all tell black men. It's mostly these misandrous black women that are socially engineered themselves to the point that they're insolvent when it comes to building any type of community. Okay? They keep telling us that we can't do shit. Okay? That's what I'm getting. They keep disparaging us. Oh, why you want to go over there? This is going to happen to you. Well, how do you know what's going to happen to them? Everyone's life experience is unique. Everything's life experience is unique. Okay? Do you hear me? No one acts the same way. Alright? The argument could be made in the community that black women have a hive mind and shit because they say exactly the same fucking things and shit. I could go even further and say a lot of women, these idealistic women in the negative, have a hive mind and shit. It does not matter shit, okay? It doesn't matter who's the price, who's not the price. It doesn't matter what's in your wallet, what's not in your wallet. It doesn't matter what's in your pants, not in your fucking pants and shit. If you love yourself, okay? If you love yourself enough to take chances and try to find out who you are, alright? If you listen to other people, then you're doomed, okay? Just take Jason's advice and keep it pushing and shit, okay? Alright? If you are going to live your life, your true human experience, then you can't afford to take anything he says serious without the slightest grain of salt. Okay? I don't approve of what Jason Black said, okay, to that man. The only way I would approve it if he gave that man his face as a sign of trust. Talking telling the man about what he didn't like about the man's appearance, and you know, just going off and shit, and telling men in general, uh, in disparaging terms, what they're gonna find over there. Let them go over there and have these experiences, positive or negative or whatever. Let them do it. We need to grow as a people, right? That's the point of this shit. There's the point of the shit when I was, left that comment in Media Man's video for the same fucking thing and shit. You know, I would never tell other men not to explore their options, not to find out who they are and whatnot. I want you all to live a fulfilling life, right? That's what we're talking about here. Beyond anything, you can't build nothing if you don't know who you are.
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the black patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.